Today's the day. The 49 character quality unit study that I've been talking about in all my videos is available now. It is down below in the link of this video, and you'll go right to it. It is absolutely free. And if you've been looking for an easy, fun, and good way to teach even your youngest children character qualities and then relate those to the academic subjects that they do every day in their schooling, then this is the curriculum for you. And I would love to share that with you, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the different materials I'm using with my boys this year. So stay tuned, and we're going to go ahead and go dive into that right now. Hi, I'm Kate from Train 'em Up, and if you're new to my channel and this is your first video, I'm a homeschooling mom, homemaker, crafter, gardener, author, and so much more. And I'd love if you would join my community as I share my journey so I can encourage you on your journey. And my passion is parenting with a purpose. So anyway, I want to thank you if you're returning. If this is a follow-up video from my homeschool curriculum 2018-2019, I left off with my kindergartner and wanted to talk a little bit more about this unit study that I was waiting to get everything together for. So I'm going to dive into that. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about what you're going to get when you download the curriculum, and then we'll look at the different books and things that I'm using. So the character unit study revolves around 49 little character books, and it's based on a list of 49 character qualities. Now you may recognize this list because if you've ever watched the Duggars and Counting on TLC, they have promoted that in their TV show and in their books. They've used it with their kids. But the list is not something we're actually using. It's just the character qualities, the 49 character qualities. And all 49 character qualities are found in the Holy Bible throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. And we are using little books. And so these books are available. There's a link below for that will take you right to them so that they're available in a PDF download. And they focus on each character quality. They're illustrated with heartwarming stories and an activity to help teach what that character quality is. It's an extremely short read. It's great even for your youngest learners, and we're going to use this as the base for our unit study. Okay, so the biblical character qualities, the 49 biblical character qualities curriculum comes as this little download. It's 29 pages, but don't be scared. It actually has a lot of just fill-in sheets and things for you to use, and you can print what you need. The first page is going to talk a little bit about the curriculum. It is actually 9 units. So the little books are grouped about 4 or 5 of them. Some even go down to 2 per unit, and they kind of give us a base for the different character qualities we need to learn within that time and how they relate to the other subject areas. So the first page of the curriculum packet talks a little bit about that and gives you some suggestions for how to use the program. And let me kind of share with you Unit 1 here. This is a materials list, and essentially you're going to be putting in the materials that you have on hand or can easily get. Maybe you want to go to the library, you have a good personal library. A lot of homeschoolers do. Some people are Usborne representatives, and they have a lot of those books which work really well for this unit study. And then they can go ahead and, or you can go ahead and go and get your own items that work in these topic areas. So let me explain. You've got Unit 1, and we're going to be focusing on the books Alertness, Boldness, Flexibility, Initiative, and Loyalty. And so you'll read the books to your children and talk about what they mean, because it's very easy to explain what those mean based on the book. And then you will find materials in social studies, and this really revolves around community workers and jobs because it lays a foundation for how character qualities go into different jobs as they get older. Science, weather and water cycle, history, explorers, And then, of course, Bible stories, including any Bible story on Daniel, Ruth, or Jonathan. And basically, you're going to go ahead and put in whatever books or activities that you find for those. And then, of course, I'm going to share mine here in a minute with you. So this is Unit 1, and of course Unit 2 has a different set of character qualities, a different set of topics for social studies, science, history, and Bible. You can not do some of these subject areas if you want to, but it is included here what the suggested topic is on each one of the 9 units. And moving on is the unit study guide for relating character qualities to subjects. So this is the main meat. It has each topic, and it tells why the character qualities are found in those subject areas. Like on Unit 1, we talked about social studies, emergency workers, firefighters, and police having alertness, boldness, flexibility, initiative, and loyalty. And it talks about how their schedules must be flexible, they must be on alert for further danger, they take initiative by setting up fire stops and stopping traffic, they remain loyal to their fellow teammates as they're working through emergencies. And so that's kind of suggested to you as the parent. You can read this and then have an idea how to relate those topics back together. For science, on water and weather cycle, it talks about the flexibility of water, the flexibility as people that we have to have to weather conditions. Explorers, it talks about their boldness and flexibility, their alertness as they're out exploring new lands. And of course, it talks about the Bible characters and how each of the ones mentioned in their story show the character qualities above. So that's Unit 1, and of course Unit 2 has a different set here altogether. Unit 2 has social studies, government, military, judges and lawyers, science, light, history, kings, queens, knights and castles, and Bible, Noah, Joseph and Jonah. And the Unit 2 study character qualities are justice, obedience, persuasiveness, discernment, decisiveness, security, and reverence. So that's a kind of a bigger unit study there as far as books go. But that kind of gives you an idea of that portion. And then, of course, the final portion of it is how it's basically a resource guide list of stuff that I'm using. I'm showing you today here on YouTube. I actually have these, there'll be a link below. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so a lot of these are available through that if you'd like to explore it more or look inside the books. But I don't want to waste any time. Let's look at these wonderful books. Okay, so here is a scan of the 9 units really quickly. And we're going to go over everyone really quickly. We're not going to do a lot of flip through, but just kind of give you an idea of what's used. This is Unit 1, and these are the different character books here that we talked about. The character, as we go into the subject area of social studies, I found these books at orientaltrading.com. and they're little community helper books, so they're used throughout the different units for me. And then I found these little cards at a teacher store, but I linked them on my Amazon site here, and they're the community helpers, and they just kind of a fun hands-on way. I think I mentioned in some of my videos that my youngest son is very hands-on and likes to kind of have control of the books and the teaching. And so I like to bring books that have a lot of illustrations, things that like flip books and things that allow him to interact with the curriculum. This is about the water cycle and weather, What Makes It Rain by Usborne. And then for the explorers in that history part, we've got See Inside the Exploration and Discovery by Usborne. For the science, you'll see in every single one of my units here, I'm using the Mailbox Everything Science. They're just very short science experiments. They're not even full experiments, really. They're just kind of playing with different materials. And a great thing if you have a young learner, you might want to invest in something different if you have an older child. But I'm doing this primarily for my kindergartner. I'm sure my fourth grader is going to participate looking through some of these books during a morning basket. For my Bible stories, I'm using a combination of 3 different programs. I've got the Positive Action Curriculum, Kindergartner Learning About God, and a lot of those Bible characters are found in here with activities. I'm reading the stories from the Beginning Bible. If they're not in here, then I'll refer just directly to the Holy Bible. But the Beginner Bible, Timeless Children's Stories, is great because it has, a ton of illustrations, and it still stays very true to the Word. And I've got the Bible Heroes and Stories. I've linked that in my Amazon. I don't actually have the cover for the book right now, but it has different activities that you can do for the different Bible characters. In this case, we're studying Daniel and Ruth, and then that actually came right out of that one. So that is Unit 1. Unit 2 focuses on those character qualities like justice, reverence, security, decisiveness, discernment, persuasiveness, and obedience. I'll probably take a little bit longer. I'm going to do these in about a month, but I might take a little longer on ones like that where they have more character qualities, because I like to read 1 or 2 per day. And we have, again, these cards, community helper books from Oriental Trading. We're studying in history the medieval period, so we have castles, kings, and queens, and this is a look inside book, again, great for your active learner. For science, and especially about discerning, we have books on light, and At the Garage, a Shine a Light book. We've got Noah and Jonah. I've got an experiment, or basically an observational sheet on day and night. And on our Unit 3, we are going into talking about discretion, sensitivity, cautiousness, gentleness, attentiveness, and compassion. We're talking a lot about the medical industry, people with patients, including veterinarians, dentists, doctors. We're going to go through in science on the different senses, and we have on the history portion some information on nations. So we have like an atlas to look at different places and different nations around the world. And we have, again, some other Esther and Elijah as far as relating back to those. Okay, so in Unit 4, we've got responsibility, thriftiness, diligence, thoroughness, and we're studying for our social studies, community, jobs, a lot about careers that involve clients and the responsibility they have to build and make things well, including construction workers and mechanics. We have leadership like presidents and their responsibility to the people, and of course in science, the body and how different parts have a responsibility and how they work together, experiments on that. And then of course we have Paul and Moses and their leadership and responsibility, and that's Unit 4. In Unit 5, we've got dependability, self-control, endurance, determination, punctuality, and orderliness. And we talk a lot about industries where they deliver or organize something, like libraries, We've got a lot of little good community books on that. In our science portion, we're learning about, since we focus a lot on order, we're learning about sizes and measuring. I've got 2 books here on measuring from Usborne. We're talking again about order, and the universe has order, which we're going to get into seasons, stars, and planets. And then for our Bible characters, we've got Josiah and David for that one. And then moving on to our Unit 6, we've got gratefulness, joy, hospitality, generosity, enthusiasm, contentment, and availability. We talk about different service industry jobs and hotels. We go through on our science a bit about food and the importance of being grateful for our food and how we can use food for hospitality purposes and things. We also have the history portion and the Thanksgiving story on how the Native Americans showed hospitality by helping the new colonists that were coming, and how they showed their gratefulness. And then moving on to number 7, we have, this one's another bigger unit. We've got virtue, wisdom, love, humility, forgiveness, faith, patience, tolerance, deference, and meekness. So this has a lot about teaching people, in the fitness industry, coaches, religious leaders, and their importance in working with people at different maturity levels. And we're talking a lot about growth in the science unit. We're talking about missionary and history, different missionary stories. And then we have how things grow. Again, that's back to the science. And then, of course, for our Bible part, we're focusing a lot on Jesus. We have a little bit on Solomon for the wisdom part we have, but Jesus is the ultimate example of all these different character qualities. So we focus on a lot of stories from his time here on earth. And that is, I guess that kind of makes up our Unit 7. So Unit 8 is sincerity and truthfulness. This is our littlest unit, and it talks about sales and journalism and industries that we would love to see sincerity and truthfulness in, and what happens when we don't. It goes through the story of inventions, because we're talking about in history people coming up with inventions and why it would be important to be honest about that. Electricity and magnetism, particularly about magnetism in the science portion. And then we have the character Hannah and her sincerity towards the Lord as you read about her and her baby Samuel. So on the last, and I'm going way over here, this is a lot on the table. It's really fun, but a lot on the table, right? So we've got resourcefulness, creativity, and that makes up our Unit 9. We've got different careers that are creative, like musicians and scientists and chefs. You could add engineers, architects, and that. We have, for history, we talk about pioneers and how they had to be resourceful and creative if they're going out without many items with them. We've got the See Inside Recycling and Rubbish by Usborne, which talks about the process of recycling and our responsibility to care for the earth, as well as our world, and a look inside here of different places. And it gets a little bit into an experiment on rocks and the rock cycle, and how that there are different scientific things about our earth that recycle themselves. And we have the story, obviously, if we're talking about creativity and resourcefulness, we talk about creation and Adam and Eve. So that is a full view of all the different materials that I'll be using. I'll probably add in some literature, but that will be based on my own personal library and probably harder to get out there. But I'd love to hear more from you, and I thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next video, and if you haven't, please subscribe.